In the heart of Australia's outback, an eerie phenomenon has baffled locals and scientists alike for over a century: the mysterious Min lights. These ghostly orbs of light have been reported drifting silently through the desert night, chasing travelers, hovering just out of reach, and vanishing into thin air. Named after the now-abandoned Min Hotel near Boulia, Queensland, where one of the first widely known sightings occurred, the lights have inspired fear, fascination, and endless theories. From Aboriginal legends to modern UFO enthusiasts, the Min lights remain one of Australia's most baffling and persistent mysteries. Witnesses describe them as glowing, floating balls that appear without warning and often follow or interact with observers. Despite various scientific attempts to explain them, ranging from light reflections to bioluminescent creatures, none have been conclusive. This video dives deep into the history, sightings, and theories surrounding the Min lights, exploring the strange and supernatural stories told by those who've encountered them. Disclaimer: this video is intended for entertainment, research, and educational purposes only. The stories and theories shared here include speculation and eyewitness accounts and are not intended to spread misinformation. Viewer discretion is advised. Always seek the truth, but question everything. Have you got a conspiracy theory or strange story you want us to dive into? Drop it in the comments. Whether it's hidden history, UFO encounters, ancient civilizations, or something totally bizarre. If it gives you chills or makes you question reality, we want to hear it. We just might turn your idea into our next video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Always stay curious, and remember, don't look up. In 1918, a stockman near Boulia, Queensland, encountered what would become the first widely reported sighting of the Min lights. He described a floating orb of light that emerged from a graveyard and began to follow him. No matter how fast he rode his horse, the light kept pace, weaving silently through the night. Terrified, he rode until he reached town, only for the light to vanish just outside its borders. Local townsfolk listened intently, and while some dismissed it, others confessed they had seen the same thing. What made this case stand out was the stockman's reputation. He wasn't known to drink or exaggerate, lending credibility to his account. After the incident, locals began to whisper more freely about their own sightings, and the Min light became cemented in Australian folklore. Skeptics argued it could be a mirage caused by temperature inversions or ignited gases from decaying matter, but no one could recreate or fully explain the phenomenon. This encounter set the stage for over a century of mystery and speculation. The town of Boulia in Queensland is often referred to as the epicenter of Min light activity. Locals have passed down stories for generations, dating back to indigenous Australian tales of spirits that roam the desert. According to Aboriginal lore, the Min lights are not just visual phenomena, but spiritual manifestations, beings or souls trapped between worlds. These stories were later echoed by European settlers who documented similar experiences. One particularly chilling tale involves a group of travelers in the 1800s who pursued a bright light for miles, only to find themselves hopelessly lost. Their horses panicked, refusing to go further, and the men claimed to hear whispering voices in the dark. These accounts continue into the modern day, with tourists and researchers visiting Boulia in hopes of witnessing the lights firsthand. The town has embraced the mystery, but even local scientists admit they cannot fully explain what's happening. Whether these lights are energy anomalies or something more metaphysical, Boulia remains one of the strongest and most consistent hotspots for Min sightings. It's more than a mystery, it's part of the town's identity. And for those who've seen it, the light is something they'll never forget. Let me know in the comments if you have seen the Min lights, or know anyone that has. In 2007, a long-haul trucker traveling through the Channel Country claimed to experience a Min encounter that rattled his nerves. Just past midnight, his cabin lit up from behind as a glowing orb began following his vehicle. At first, he thought it was a car, but as it closed in, it hovered above the road. No engine noise, no headlights, just a hovering sphere of white-blue light. He accelerated, but the light kept pace, weaving side to side like it was observing him. Eventually, it overtook his truck, then vanished into thin air without a trace. When he arrived at the nearest roadhouse, he was pale and shaken. Other drivers had reported similar events along the same route. The roads through this desolate region are known for being long, flat, and uninhabited, making the sightings all the more inexplicable. The fact that modern rational professionals, people used to the dangers and isolation of the outback, are experiencing these lights only adds weight to the phenomenon. Many truckers now refer to that stretch of highway as Min Alley. The idea that these lights interact with vehicles and follow humans suggests they're more than just natural anomalies. Even law enforcement isn't immune to the Min phenomenon. In the 1980s, a Queensland police officer on night patrol encountered a glowing orb that approached his vehicle near Baduri. Initially thinking it was a prank or drone, he stepped out to investigate, but the light hovered silently, out of reach, then began to circle him. His police radio started to crackle with interference. When he attempted to approach the light, it shot off at an impossible speed. He filed a report, but was warned by superiors not to speak publicly. Years later, retired, he shared his story with a local newspaper. His account was detailed, measured, and devoid of sensationalism. Other officers privately confirmed similar experiences, but feared ridicule or professional consequences. This raises the question, why the silence? Why discourage credible professionals from reporting these events? If the Min lights are natural, why the official hush? Some theorists believe there's a classified aspect to these phenomena, possibly tied to military tech or experimental energy fields. The testimony of a police officer adds institutional credibility. It shows that even those trained to observe and report are baffled by the lights, and maybe being told to keep quiet. Aboriginal Australians have known about the Min lights long before European colonization. They consider them part of their Dreamtime stories, interdimensional phenomena that carry spiritual warnings or guidance. Some elders believe the lights are ancestral spirits, watching over the land or warning those who trespass into sacred places. Sightings are often interpreted as omens, either of personal transformation or impending misfortune. In some cases, Aboriginal guides have refused to lead researchers into certain areas, citing the presence of Min lights as a reason. These traditional beliefs lend a cultural depth to the phenomenon that goes beyond modern science. While skeptics dismiss these accounts as folklore, they overlook the long-standing oral traditions that consistently describe the same behavior over centuries. What's even more intriguing is that these stories often include warnings not to follow or provoke the lights, a theme echoed in many non-Indigenous encounters. Whether you see the lights as supernatural or simply misunderstood natural phenomena, the consistency across cultures and eras is too strong to ignore. The Indigenous stories remind us that modern science doesn't have all the answers, and that the land itself might be more alive and aware than we realize. Skeptics have attempted to explain the Min lights using known scientific phenomena. One of the most common theories is the Fata Morgana, a type of mirage caused by temperature inversion. This optical illusion can bend light and make distant objects appear floating or glowing. While this theory might account for some sightings, it fails to explain lights that follow people for miles, hover, change direction, or appear intelligent. The Fata Morgana effect also requires very specific weather conditions, and yet Min lights have been reported year-round under different conditions. Others suggest glowing insects, bioluminescent fungi, or gas emissions. But again, none of these account for the consistent behaviors described by eyewitnesses. Even government-funded research in the 2000s concluded that no current scientific explanation could fully replicate the Min effect. Skeptics may be quick to dismiss the lights as hallucinations or illusions, but that approach ignores the vast number of consistent, independent reports over more than a century. In fact, the insistence on overly simplistic answers might be doing more to obscure the truth than uncover it. The Min lights remain an enigma, one that continues to defy both folklore and science alike. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content uncovering the world's deepest mysteries. In 2013, a small team of paranormal investigators set out to document the Min lights in Boulia. Armed with thermal cameras, EMF detectors, drones, and night vision, they camped in an area known for frequent sightings. On their third night, they captured what appeared to be a floating orb in infrared, unseen by the naked eye. Their EMF meters spiked, and a strange hum was recorded on audio equipment. As they approached the area, the light vanished, and the team reported headaches and dizziness. When reviewing the footage, they noticed static distortions and brief, shadowy shapes moving across the screen, despite no visible source. Though the footage wasn't definitive proof, it added compelling data to the mystery. The team concluded the lights may be connected to energy anomalies or even portals. Paranormal theories suggest the lights could be interdimensional beings, sentient plasma, or remnants of ancient technology left behind by a forgotten civilization. While critics dismissed the team's findings as inconclusive, They did capture phenomena science has yet to explain. The investigation shows that something real is happening in the Australian outback, and the more people look into it, the stranger the picture becomes. In 1996, a group of teenagers on a camping trip near Winton, Queensland, experienced a harrowing encounter with the Min Lights. Late at night, a glowing orb appeared over their campsite, slowly drifting between trees. At first, they were thrilled, thinking it was some natural phenomenon or prank. But when the light began to circle them, growing brighter and faster, the mood shifted. Panic set in when two orbs appeared, hovering over their cars. As they tried to flee, the lights followed at high speed, weaving through the bush and appearing ahead of their vehicle without explanation. One teen swore the light passed through the windshield, filling the cabin with an intense white glow for a moment. They eventually reached a service station, shaken and terrified. The incident left deep psychological marks, with two of the teens refusing to return to the area ever again. Their story, passed on through local media and later investigated by UFO researchers, remains one of the most dramatic accounts. This event highlights how the Min Lights aren't always benign. They can be intrusive, frightening, and to some, even predatory. The question remains, what is watching us in the dark? Let me know in the comments, what would you do in the same situation? A solo hiker in the Simpson Desert reported one of the most unsettling Min experiences ever documented. Setting up camp just before dusk, he noticed a glowing orb on the horizon. At first, he assumed it was the moon, but it was too low and far too bright. As night fell, the orb began to move, weaving through the desert terrain. Then it started coming closer. The hiker described feeling an intense pressure, almost like static electricity in the air. The light stopped roughly 30 meters away and hovered. No noise, no flickering, just a constant glow. Frozen in fear, he watched as the orb pulsed and then slowly retreated back into the darkness. When he told locals, they weren't surprised. Many had seen the same light in that area. This story illustrates a recurring theme in Min encounters: proximity. Unlike distant illusions, these lights often approach people directly, interact with them, and then disappear without a trace. Some researchers and locals believe the Min phenomenon has less to do with physics and more with the paranormal. The idea of ghost lights exists in cultures worldwide. Floating orbs thought to be spirits of the dead, lost souls, or supernatural guardians. In Australia, this view resonates with both Aboriginal beliefs and modern ghost lore. These lights don't just appear, they interact, seem to observe, and sometimes even guide or warn travelers. Paranormal investigators suggest the lights might be energy manifestations of spirits tied to the land, perhaps victims of ancient battles or people who perished in the vast, unforgiving desert. A strange feature of Min lights is how suddenly they disappear. Many witnesses describe them vanishing instantly, like turning off a switch. One farmer told of being followed for nearly an hour by a glowing orb that danced around his ute. He stopped his vehicle and got out. The light hovered, then suddenly blinked out, gone without a sound or trace. No burn marks, no smell, no heat, nothing. Some theorize this disappearance is due to environmental shifts, such as a rapid change in temperature or wind dispersing a localized gas. Others believe it indicates some form of cloaking technology, or even a psychic component where the lights exist on a different plane of reality and only briefly overlap with ours. There are whispers that the Australian government knows more about the Min lights than they admit. Despite countless sightings over the decades, there has been little official research or commentary. Some believe this is intentional. Eyewitnesses have reported seeing military vehicles in areas known for frequent light activity, raising suspicions. Could the lights be some form of classified aerial technology? Or perhaps the military is monitoring them, just like civilians are. There are even rumors of restricted zones in the outback, allegedly tied to Min activity. While there's no concrete proof, the silence is deafening. Why hasn't a formal study been conducted, funded, or released to the public? Despite, or perhaps because of, the mystery, the Min lights have become a cultural phenomenon. Boulia has embraced the legend, hosting the Min Encounter Center, which attracts thousands of visitors each year. Tourists flock to the region, hoping to catch a glimpse of the ghostly glow. The lights have inspired books, documentaries, and art. Local economies benefit from the intrigue, even as the mystery itself remains unsolved. For some, the lights are a connection to the spiritual and natural world. For others, they represent the thrill of the unexplained. The Min Lights have grown beyond folklore into something uniquely Australian. Still, amid the commercialization, locals maintain a quiet respect for the phenomenon. They know it's real, they've seen it. There are many theories about the true nature of the Min Lights. Some believe they are a form of alien surveillance, possibly drones or energy-based life forms observing human behavior. Their glowing, maneuverable nature mirrors descriptions from UFO sightings worldwide. Others argue that the lights are tied to Earth's magnetic field, possibly linked to ley lines or natural plasma discharges, suggesting an Earth-based phenomenon misunderstood for centuries. A less popular but increasingly discussed theory ties the lights to secret military technology, possibly testing cloaking or projection systems in remote areas. Could the outback serve as a giant experimental zone, hiding advanced tech behind the guise of folklore? Regardless of which theory you choose, all agree on one thing: the Min Lights display intelligence, intention, and consistency. These aren't one-off hallucinations. They are a persistent mystery etched into the culture of the outback. Leave a comment about what you think these Min Lights are. Over the decades, there have been thousands of reported encounters with the Min Lights across Australia, and remarkably, the stories rarely deviate. From truck drivers in Queensland to campers deep in the outback, the descriptions are eerily consistent. Glowing orbs of white, blue, or yellow light that appear out of nowhere, follow people at a distance, and vanish without a trace. These lights seem aware, keeping pace with vehicles, reacting to movement, and often disappearing the moment someone tries to get too close. Whether it's 1918 or 2024, the pattern remains the same. Some chase people for miles, others hover silently just beyond reach. It's this consistency that makes the Min Lights so hard to dismiss. Skeptics might write off one or two cases as imagination or misidentification, but thousands of similar stories, are we meant to see them? After 100+ years of stories, legends, sightings, and investigations, one question remains: are we meant to see the Min Lights? Some witnesses claim the lights respond to emotion, approaching when you're calm, fleeing when afraid. Others say the lights choose their witnesses. What if the Min Lights are not accidents or illusions, but messages? Messages from another realm, another intelligence, or even a forgotten part of our own consciousness. Could they be ancient guardians watching sacred land, or warnings about places humans should not tread? Despite decades of attempts to capture, explain, or debunk them, the lights continue to roam freely, untouched by science and shielded by legend. For the people of the outback, both Aboriginal and modern, the Min Lights are more than folklore. They are real, present, and part of the living landscape. If you ever find yourself deep in the desert, and a light appears just beyond the trees, don't chase it, don't run, just watch. Because whatever the Min Lights are, they are watching too. And maybe, just maybe, they've been here longer than we have. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content uncovering the world's deepest mysteries. And always remember, don't look up.